back to Argus Hamilton's Comedy Store tonight. We've got our fantastic crowd with us tonight. We had Ari Shaffir on, and it's a pleasure to meet our next comic. He tours all over the world, opening for the great Jim Jeffries, and he's new here in Los Angeles, just getting rolling here. He's from Australia, and that's our ally, so we're going to love him, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Amos Gill, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to meet you, Amos.
Thank you very much.
Did you start out doing stand-up in Australia?
I did, yeah. I did like 10 years of comedy in Australia.
Yeah.
And then I was always watching the Joe Rogan show, and the message of that was kind of like, you ain't shit unless you're at the Comedy Store. So I quit everything. And then I came here and I thought I'd just walk in and be like, yeah, I'm a professional comedian. I'd like to go onto the main stage now with everybody. And they're like, oh no, there's a process, mate. You gotta start at the bottom and work your way up to a cracked vinyl chair that everyone's like, you gotta get to that paid regular spot.
They don't understand that you're somebody in Australia?
Not really, though. Like, what's real? Like in Australia, there's the big fish, small pond thing.
Yeah.
Over there, it's kind of like medium fish in a puddle.
Well,
what's
really the club scene like, say, in Sydney or Melbourne?
It's like, well, I'm actually not even from there. I'm from Adelaide, which is
Adelaide.
like, people say it's like the Austin, right? It's like a small little festival town. And when I was there was like one gig, and if you did well at that, there was no money paid, so you never got paid a cent anywhere. And then if you did well, there was this weird guy who worked for gold mines, and he would book you to go and perform in gold mines. You get on a plane.
In gold mines?
Yeah, in gold mines, right? Because we've got all these people in the centre of the country that dig up gold mines. Like, you guys put actual cities in the centre of your country, like Kansas, that you don't care about or whatever. But we have, we just have gold mines up there, and then you'd go and perform, you and a stripper. And so he'd fly you up there.
Australian men and a stripper, and you got to follow that?
There's like 200 dudes, and you'd always want to go on before the stripper.
Yeah.
Because they do that thing called a fruit and veg show. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Right? So the stripper would come on, and you like roll up, and you've just got like your act, and then she's got a briefcase. Yeah. And I'm like 19, and I'm like, oh, what's in there? And she opens it up, and there's just all this fruit and vegetables and whatnot.
Oh.
And then she'd go on, you just see this roaring thing, and then you've got to come on after someone has used a zucchini on themselves, and you're like, so I'm at law school, and my professor said something amusing. So you've got to develop like
my
a pretty...
professor said something amusing.
You learn to go pretty hard.
Yeah.
You don't really, you don't have time.
You start opening with your closer.
And then you just sort of abuse people, and then you get booed off.
Yeah.
But they give you like $200 and a meal.
Yeah.
And that was making it.
Yeah. Wow. So would you then go... Was the big time Sydney or Melbourne?
Yeah, well, what we do there is we do a festival circuit. So you build an hour a year, and then you do a show, and then you tour it, and you do it again year after year. But really, all Aussie comics, like, I've got my new hour, but it's basically 15 minutes and then 45 minutes of pathos. Yeah. Everyone does a My Dad Died, or you do your Hannah Gadsby Nanette show. And so when that broke here and everyone was going crazy over the net, it's like, that's what we do.
Right.
We do 20 minutes of vague punchlines, followed up by social commentary that you kind of read on Reddit.
Filler.
A lot of filler.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then you'd see the Americans come and they'd just destroy for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I realised that over here, everyone like works really hard at making themselves tough.
Well, oddly enough, that's how what you're talking about. A lot of comics worked that way in the 1970s here at the Comedy Store. They do long expositions, then punchline. Long exposition, what they think about everything, then a punchline.
Which is okay, but I'm like, most of us are like 21 and 22, and you got 40-year-olds there, and you're like, I've got the solutions to the world's problems, guys. And look, it's just so pretentious. And I always wanted to get out of there and come over here. And then the year that I landed, the net went big, and I was like, oh God, this is going to be fucking infested like at home now. Like everyone's going to want to do that style now.
Well, what do you like to? First of all, what are your observations on America? How long have you been in the country?
I've been here for 4 months this time, and I keep coming for like 2. I came for 2 months and 2 months, and I got here like just for the inauguration because I used to work for a radio station, so I came to cover those first debates.
Right.
And it was just enthralling. It was amazing. Because our politics is pathetic. Like, when I lived in Australia, I was like a very politically motivated, and I was like, what we do affects the whole world. And then you get to America, there's not one story. Maybe it's like a guy punches a frog, and Australia makes the news. But you think our Prime Minister's decisions makes a difference.
Well, we love Errol Flynn movies.
Guy Who's Serious is a big deal here.
Yeah.
People like those movies. And then Jim. Jim's like a big deal. So... he told me to move, and I live in his house now. And
Yeah.
like, I'm kind of like a nanny to his kid.
Right.
And in return, I go on the road with him. This is his jacket,
Yeah.
and I'm just like parasiting his life.
Yeah.
But LA has been a challenge for me because it's a bit douchey.
Well, no. Really?
Yeah, I think it's
Compared to Australia?
I didn't know that I liked architecture until I came here because,
Right.
because I was like, just the absence of it.
Well, like you go to Beverly Hills, every house there'd be Spanish and then French next to Southern Colonial, next to, you know.
Yeah, no, my friends aren't in Beverly Hills. They're like Koreatown and, you know.
I see, yeah.
I'm sure Beverly Hills is nice, but I've realised that the palm trees do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Like, I always look at it and I'm like, without the palm trees, because every Australian comes and on their Instagram, they just do like Ventura Boulevard or Santa Monica, it's all the beautiful palms. But if you block them out, it looks like Baghdad. It's just it's homeless people taking a dump on the sidewalk and then like CVS, which is also ridiculous because you have drugstores that sell nothing but candy. Like it's illegal. It's a weird thing to get used to. And then everyone
They won't sell
thinks
cigarettes, but they sell all the sugar that cigarette substitute. Right.
And then they do like weed is a personality here.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people really let that, and there's a lot of hippie people. Like I was dating a girl who would say things like, "Sorry, I'm being bitchy, but Mercury's in retrograde right now." And I kind of went, I guess that's what they're like. And the healthcare. I wanted to tell you about this.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, I'm quite stoned at the moment off the Oxycontin because I had my wisdom teeth pulled, and my wisdom tooth was impacted.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I've heard healthcare here is, easy and affordable, so this should be fine.
Yeah.
And I went to a dental place, and it was $4,500 to have them taken out with no insurance.
Wow.
And I went back and said, I can't afford that. And they go, all right, we'll do a deal for $500 bucks. And so I go back the next day, and the surgeon sees me, and he goes, we'll get our pricing representative to come and have a look for you. And I go, well, first of all, we don't have that in Australia. There's no pricing representative. There's just the healthcare, right? The surgeon looks after you. And they go, it's actually going to be $1,200. And I've already got like the apron on and everything and the glasses for them. And I went, I can't afford that. I have to leave. And as I'm walking out, they're like, it'll be $250 for being seen today.
Wow.
And I was so, I said to the lady, it was a bad thing to do. I went, you can get fucked, right? And then 3 security guards came in and they're like, you have to tone your language down.
Yeah.
And I left, and my girlfriend found me someone from Facebook who took it out for $400 in his apartment. I'm not joking. He was a student from UCLA who had a home dental clinic. And I was like,
concierge medicine. You got that?
Anyway, when I finished, I had the laughing gas. And I've kind of come to, and he gave me the prescription.
That was $800.
And I came back and he was like, I broke your jawbone, but if there's any complications with it, I'll see you for free. So I'm going to go see him tomorrow because I've got a piece of bone coming through my mouth at the moment. But I saved $600, and that's... And I see myself as a conservative in Australia, but when I come over to America, I'm like Bernie Sanders. I'm like, you've got to fix this. This isn't okay.
Well, the #1 healthcare in the world. It does. Wow. Well, so what do you like to talk about on stage about America now that you're here?
I don't do a heap about. I talk a lot about your drinking culture.
Okay.
Because Jim and I always talk about this. We've always considered alcoholic here, and we've realised we're kind of like Boston.
Right.
Australian people are like pale, ugly, puffy drinkers.
Right.
And over here, my favourite joke to do here is I go in LA. There's always people who are like, I'm sober. I'm sober now. It's a very proud thing. And everyone's like, oh, okay, like new year, new you, you're getting healthy, trying to get in shape. Whereas in Australia, if you're like, I'm sober, everyone thinks he's killed someone with his car before. It's the only conceivable reason why you would. It is. If you're in a pub and a guy isn't drinking beer, you're like, get away from that man, kids. Get away from him. He's on lists.
Oh my God, that's great.
But I don't know, like... It's been an interesting trip. We hang out together a lot, the Aussies, because I never thought of myself as an immigrant because I'm white. Right. When you're a white guy, you don't think I'm an immigrant, but we are. And
we're part of the English-speaking diaspora. I mean,
we're
all in the same empire. I know how you feel.
But we do. I remember like my dad and all. I've got a lot of like kind of racist family members, but I'm half Croatian. And I used to always give my Croatian family shit because I was like, you move to another country, you only ever hang out with each other, you speak only Croatian, right?
Yeah.
And now that I've moved over to America, we're so similar. And yet still, I go to like weird bars in Santa Monica with all Aussies, and we eat like a meat pie, which we would never eat at home. And you get super patriotic, and we all hang out with each other. Like me and Jim have become friends with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Which has been, and he's got no interest in me.
Yeah.
Like I think that we're like peers because me and Jim are friends. And there was a time we went to the Troubadour Theatre, which I love.
Yeah.
And Russell walks in and he's there to speak to Jim at the bar. And I was like, oh, now's my time to make small talk with Russell Crowe. And I've got this good piece of information. My best friend growing up, his dad was a military pilot, and he flies Russell Crowe private.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I'll bring him up, because that's an interesting piece of information. I know you're a pilot. So I go up to Russell, who's with his agent, and I go, hey, Russell, I'm Amos, I'm Jim's friend. My friend Rick, he's your private jet pilot. And then Russell looks at me, and he goes, and he looks at his agent and says, do we know him? And the agent goes, yeah, he's that red-headed guy, Russ. He flew us from Sydney to Hong Kong. And he goes, cool, you guys talk about him. And then he just and I'm just left with the agent. And he's like, he's a good guy, isn't he? I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk to you about him. Like, I want to talk to Russ.
Yeah. This is why models threw cell phones at him. Okay, I understand.
No, he was a Kiwi when he did that.
No,
yeah. As soon as Russell Crowe acts like a douchebag, Australians like he was actually born in New Zealand, so he's not one of us.
Well, I've tried to sell. Whenever there's someone from Australia in the crowd, I always try to tell the rest of the Americans in the group, you've never seen a sport as great as Australian rules football.
You know it.
I love it. It's back when ESPN was getting started in the 80s, they had a lot of time to fill, and they showed Australian rules football. And I'm telling you, it is crazy, it is great, and I don't understand why it doesn't.
Well, that's
take
what I
on
wanted
here.
to do. That's what I wanted to do professionally. I was
Well, really?
but I did 3 ACLs.
Yeah.
I did my
Talk about the difference between Australian rules.
Well, basically, we have no African American players, so it's shit. Really, it's a game that you honestly can't. It's like cricket. It's just a mesh of idiots on the field running around. Like the rules are so ridiculous. There's a scene where Eric Bana tries to do it in Funny People with Seth Rogen. But essentially, there's goals here, goals here. You kick it through at 6 points.
Yeah.
If you miss, it's 1 point, so you get a go for trying, which is very un-American. Like, you had a crack, and we'll give you something for your trying. Where America's like, you miss, you're off the team, right?
Yeah.
And you can tackle, people get punched, and it's...
And
we just like the punching, basically. We really like the punching.
How do they move the ball down the field? That's what
You can kick it.
You have to kick it down the
and
field.
You can handball it.
Yeah.
We're usually drunk. I actually don't know the rules, to be honest with you. It's just a reason I hate people who are dressed differently from you. And that's why we still like sports. NFL, I don't get. It seems like the game goes for 9 hours. I'm trying.
Well, when do you and Jim go out on tour again?
We're going to Europe.
Yeah.
We're going to like 25 cities over November and December. So we're going to be all
And about how many minutes do you do on stage when you get
there? He books me for about 15 and I do about 30. Yeah.
I'm with you.
When he first booked, because we did like Rod Laver Arena in Australia, which is where they do the Australian Open, and it's like 15,000 people. Like he's an enormous global star.
You see, the crowd carried me over. There's nothing I can keep the 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what I'd say to him. I'm like, I'm not used to these kinds of things.
I used to say the same thing to Mitzi. I know what you say.
And then I'd go. There was one time where I don't think I'm ever going to have an opportunity to play to 15,000. So I thought, let's just milk this. Yeah. And I had a really good set for like 25 minutes. And I walked off, and I was just chuffed from that, that experience. And he goes, "You think you did pretty well there, didn't you?" And I go, "Yeah, it was pretty great, right?" And he goes, "You think if they said, 'Sorry, Mr. Jeffries is sick,' they'd go home satisfied?" Goes, "Well, watch this." And then he walked out, and he just started destroying. And every time he was going to clap, he'd look at me and be like, "Hey, that's my crowd."
Well, I have a feeling you're going to get there. Give him a big round of applause.
Thanks very much.
Amos Gill, thank you so much for being on. You're fantastic. Listen, when you get back from the tour, come back and tell us about it. Okay?
I will, absolutely.
Give it up again.
Thank you, guys.
So we will be right back to close things up. Do not go anywhere because we got some special announcements to make, right, Todd?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we'll be right back. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen.